Welcome to Devils in Red 59. My name is Steve, and today is Sunday, the 15th of March. Uh, the game today, Manchester United 3, Aston Villa 1. What a great 3 points. So, we're just going to talk a bit today about the game. And obviously, I think in the first half, even though you could see an improvement on the previous 4 games with the way we were moving the ball around and one and two touch football. That was instantly a lot better than the previous 4 games, albeit, we didn't really do a lot with it. I mean, I think we had about 7 corners in the first half, and we were creating chances, but it just didn't seem like, we could finish them off. But obviously, when we came out the second half, we were certainly a lot more fluent, moving the ball about a lot more, creating a lot more chances. So the overall performance, I would say, was good and a big improvement on the previous 4 games. Obviously, the standout players for me was one, Cunha. He's very, very strong on the ball. It's hard for defenders to knock him off it, like, with some of the players we've had playing that position, they're knocked off the ball too easily. But Cunha's very strong upper body, and he can deal with people trying to get him off the ball. He can push them away, barge them away, and he'll create something out of nothing. So for me, Cunha, I think he had a very good game. People say the left wing's not really his natural position, which it's probably not. He's more of a number 10. But obviously, at the moment, this time of the season, we're having to make do with what we've got. And I think Cunha has done a very good job at times on that left hand side. I mean, with Luke Shaw again, he's played every game this season and he comes in for a lot of criticism. But I think he, fed the ball through well at times to Cunha, and obviously Cunha was able to get up that left hand side, creating AM the way he normally does, putting pressure on the defenders. So that was good to see. And obviously we then talk about Bruno. Bruno again, I think he had a fairly quiet first half. He was, in and about and making himself a bit of a nuisance, like. But obviously, in the second half, he came into his best, and as we know, he created the chances for I think, two of the winning goals. And it just goes to show what a class number 10 uh, Bruno Fernandes is. So realistically, he's playing in his natural position. He's world class, and I think he should be up in good contention for Player of the Season award that will be taking place, I believe, sometime in May. I know Declan Rice is up there, and people say, well, whoever wins the league, usually it's one of their players that wins that title. Somebody within the side. But I think even though we're not going to win the Premiership, I think Bruno's got to be up there. He's got to be in with a good shout as being, the best player throughout the season, especially in his number 10 natural position. So, it's nice to see Bruno doing well. He does have little moments where he wanders off and loses his thoughts and so forth. But, in the main, I think he gives everything for the badge. And we're then going to talk about Casemiro. Again, Casemiro, I think he had a pretty quiet first half. He was in and about. He was creating a bit of havoc. He was playing a lot of one-touch football. But his balls going forward was, excellent. He was picking out players. It wasn't very often that he played a ball through that didn't get through to his target. So I think Casemiro again had a very good game. And obviously, when he scored his goal, you could see what the goal meant to him. he was at the Stretford End, and obviously he was kissing the badge and touching the badge and saying to people, "Look, this badge, it's in my head. I'm a Man United man." Um, and to many respects, you're sort of saying there's only going to be 4 games left at Old Trafford, and I'm sorry to be leaving, but this is what this club means to me. And as we've said before, we think, he's going to be a very hard replacement to find, really. People have said about, do you think that Casemiro ought to get another year? But saying all that, he's won a lot of trophies over the years with Real Madrid and so forth, and the last sort of 18 months at Man United, he's been pretty good. His first season at Man United, he was good, and he had that drop-off period throughout the Ten Hag era. But in the main, I think it comes down to a lot of things like things that were going on in the club, and maybe with the manager, being selected, and all manner of things. You had the bomb squad that was probably adding issues to the way he was performing, thinking, why should I give it me all when they ain't? But, since all that seems to have been sorted out, you can see what it means to Casemiro. And obviously, he's going to be a very hard act to follow. But I don't think really we should, even entertain giving him another 12 months. I think it's better for him to go out on an eye. If we qualify for the Champions League, which it looks like we will do, it's going to be far better for him to wander out of the club at the end of his contract, and then whether he goes to Saudi or the MLS, or somewhere else in Europe, at least he can go out holding his head high. And again, where Casemiro's concerned, when he retires, whether that be another 2, 3 years, I would like to see Casemiro probably come back to Man United, because it does mean a lot to him. His family like Manchester as well. They've been quite settled there. And I would like to see Casemiro come back, perhaps with some sort of a coaching role for the midfield players, because who better to learn off than the likes of him that's won everything 2 or 3 times over. And Michael Carrick has obviously played as a successful midfielder as well, so I don't think it'd be a bad thing if Casemiro in the future came back to us as a midfield coach. But that's my thoughts on it. Um, Obviously, when Šeško came on, it was nice to see him come on and do what he's done in previous games off the bench. He looked a bit surly faced when he first started getting ready on the sidelines, getting ready to come on. But a young lad like that, I think he wants to be playing every game. And I think Michael Carrick, since he's come in, because he was under a lot of pressure with Ruben Amorim coming in as the number one striker, which we saw with the likes of Rasmus Højlund for 2 seasons. There was nobody else that could take that position, and it was play, and we want you to get goals and this, that, the other. He wasn't getting the service required, and obviously that's going to demoralise a player, especially a young player. And I think that's what Šeško was starting to go through with Ruben Amorim for the period of time that he was playing under Amorim. So I think when Amorim went and Michael Carrick came in, he obviously took that pressure away from him being a young player, and said, look, take a step back, let's concentrate on your training, let's concentrate on what we expect of you. And you're not going to play every game, but obviously when you do come on, you're going to feel a lot more refreshed, a lot more confident, because the other players have picked up their act, and that there'll be a lot more service coming in. So let's just get you calmed down, get you back to where you should be, introducing you into Manchester United at a nice steady pace that you're going to be comfortable with, without, having that concrete weight on your shoulders. So I think it's now showing with Šeško Um, and the way he's playing, coming off the bench, he's a lot more mobile. He gets himself in dangerous positions. He's obviously scoring goals, and he upsets the defence of whoever he's playing against because they all know what he's capable of doing now. So obviously that unsettles him, which is good for Manchester United. To have a player that can come on and unsettle the sides the way he actually does it. I mean, when he came on and Mbeumo was taken off, I mean, Mbeumo looked a bit upset about going off. Like, he was, you could tell by his face that he wasn't happy, and he'd come off on the corner line and walked around the pitch clapping the fans. Like, but you know, players like Mbeumo and that they've got to realise that Manchester United at the moment they're only playing one game a week, and we have got players on the bench that deserve to come on and get some minutes. You can't just leave the likes of Šeško and other players like that totally on the bench and not getting no game time, because that's going to cause like a Mainu scenario where he was on the bench and not really being given any game time, and that's going to deflate any player that's in that position. So, you know, Mbeumo, he's got to realise that from time to time he's got to be taken off. He didn't play particularly bad. I thought he had a better second half than he did the first half, and in the second half he seemed to be linking up a little bit more on that right hand side with Ahmad at times, and also Dallo. And he seemed to be getting into the game at quite a bit more. But usually, if Ahmad's on the bench and he gets bought on, then usually it's Cunha that gets took off. And I think players in general have got to realise these minutes have got to be shared about, and at times, through no fault of your own or not playing bad, that you might be the one to come off and give way to somebody for a period of time just for them to get some minutes. So I think really, all the players have to sort of be aware of that. I mean, we've only got 8 games left in the season, and we're in a good position now. So, they can hopefully look forward at least in maybe 4 to 5 games and say we've definitely got the Champions League, and, we can play our next 3 games and then get off on our holidays, or if they're involved in the World Cup, they can perhaps have a week or 2 weeks break before they join up with the national teams to go and enter the World Cup competition. So that's where we are with some of them. But I just want to talk about Michael Carrick a little bit, because I hear things going about Michael Carrick. He got sacked by Middlesbrough, and um, he shouldn't get the job. But if you look at it in some other ways, I mean, look at Vincent Kompany. I mean, Vincent Kompany played in the same era, the same time as Michael Carrick, and obviously Vincent Kompany was with Manchester City as a centre half. And when he left, he done his training coach badges, and he got into football, and he was with Burnley, bought them up. They went down that first season, and then he ended up at Bayern Munich. And look what Vincent Kompany's doing at Bayern Munich now. So how they can say Michael Carrick will, not be the manager for Manchester United, I can't really see how anybody can say that, because if you look at our last 2, 3 managers, and a lot of the players that we've still got in our side was involved with the last 2 or 3 managers, they couldn't get them to play and win as many games and draws that Michael Carrick's got them to do. It's not a fluke. He's come in, he's done something, and he's got them players playing for him. And I think he's got to be in contention, or certainly in the conversation at the end of the season, for the manager's job of Manchester United. Now, as we've said previously, if there's other managers in the frame as well, yes, they need to be spoken to. Carrick needs to be spoken to, and we've got to bring in who we think um, is going to be able to, take us to the next stage. Now we're back in the Champions League. We need a manager. We've got to be confident in the manager that he can keep us in the Champions League, because that revenue is 100 million a year to start with, and that's money that the club very much needs on a year-to-year basis. So, I just get a little bit fed up of hearing, oh, we got sacked by Middlesbrough, got sacked by Middlesbrough. Well, that doesn't mean to say that he couldn't be the next Alex Ferguson. I mean, it's far, far too early to say anything like that. But some of these managers that come through from, sort of nowhere, some of them have got football um, backgrounds, that become very successful managers, and the managers have probably not played the game, but they've been involved in coaching for many a years, and then go into the management side of it. And we've had managers that have proven to be very successful. I mean, I don't mean necessarily Manchester United, but I mean football in general. So it'd be nice just to get people now to say, well, we've got 8 games of the season left. We're in a good position. So let's drop this manager, this and this manager, that, and I think we ought to go for this manager, and I think we ought to go for that manager. We've got to trust the system. Whether we trust the Glazers and Ineos is another thing, but we're being told by Ineos that they want to bring the best of the best in, and by the best of the best, it's going to be who they think is in a good position to be able to take the team forward. Obviously, whoever the manager is, Michael Carrick or somebody else, they've got to work with Jason Wilcox, and there's obviously a lot of flack against Jason Wilcox, as to whether he should be making the final decision on managers and players and so forth. But obviously, on the players we bought in last summer, Mbeumo, Cunha, Lemens, and Šeško, all 4 of them have proven to be good signings for us. So we have got to put a little bit of faith in Ineos. I don't think you can blame them for everything. I mean, the Glazers have been here for 21 years. Ineos, they've been here for 2 years, and I think it's this summer they'll start going into the 3rd year. So we've got to see what they do this summer. If they can bring in another 4 to 5 players on par with the ones of last summer, or a better calibre, then I think that'll push us forward again, and hopefully be able to keep us in the Champions League for the following season, which will be another 100 million and more money to spend. And hopefully on that season we can probably get the squad to where we need it to be. So that's the information we got at the moment on Carrick and previous managers. As I say, we've got 8 games left. We're 6 points clear of Chelsea, because I believe Chelsea lost yesterday 1-0. So they remain on 48 points, and we are in 3rd on 54 points. Villa remain on 51, but they have now gone down to 4th, because Liverpool was winning the last time I looked 1-0 against Tottenham. So that puts Liverpool up into 4th on 51, providing that they still win the game. And Villa have dropped down to 5th on 51, but it'll be on goal difference between Villa and Liverpool. And obviously Chelsea are in 6th on 48. So either way, I think we're in a very, very good position now with 8 games to go. Out of them 8 games, I would think if we win 4, draw 2 or 3, and don't lose any more than 2 anyway, I think that we'll be okay. Even if we drop to 4th spot. But hopefully now that we're into third and 3 points clear of fourth position. Hopefully that might just kick the players on again to say, well, we've got to make sure now that, we cement this and we finish as high as we possibly can. Because Manchester City lost again yesterday, I understand. So, who who can say that we probably can't close in on them on second? I doubt whether we will, but City always seem to get it out the bag. I mean, they're not going to win the Premiership, like, but they might try and hang on to that second position. But now we've toppled Villa in third. It's something else for the players to look at and say, well, why not? Let's go for second and see what happens. So that could be a good thing to keep an eye on. Just a quick update on transfers. I believe it came out yesterday that Napoli have now agreed with Rasmus and his agent, and I believe they've also agreed with Manchester United to sign Rasmus Højlund for 38 million, and albeit the initial loan was with an obligation to buy. Napoli have now, I believe, made contact with Manchester United and said we will be exercising that regardless of whether we win, get into the Champions League or not. They're going to actually go ahead with that deal, so that's good. We will have about 38 million to come off them for that, and I believe Rasmus's book value is about 28 million. So realistically, we should have about 10 million that we can put towards our transfer budget. And I just hope that the Glazers or Ineos don't say, well, that 10 million can go towards the interest payments, because we need as much money as possible this summer to bring in as many players, quality players, as we can, to maintain Champions League football. And, I think it's got to be done. Just a quick one on Rashford as well. Again, as we've previously said, Barcelona have agreed terms with Rashford and his agent, and I believe they're now in the process of making contact with Manchester United over the next few days or so, to try and cement the deal with Manchester United. I think they'll still try it on and see whether they can negotiate on the 26 million that Manchester United want for him. But I think if pushing comes to shoving and United stand firmly by what they've said, that we want 26 million for him, I think Barcelona will pay it in the end, because Marcus Rashford's not going to want to go to the World Cup and still wonder whether at the end of it, whether he's reporting back to Carrington or whether he's going to be reporting back to Barcelona. So I think Rashford's going to want that sorted out sooner rather than later. And, so again, Marcus Rashford is pure profit. There should be a minimum of, well, at least the 26 that we've asked for him coming. So if you put that with Rasmus's money, 10 million left over from Rasmus, as his book value is 28 still to be paid off, then at least that gives us another 36 million that can go into the transfer kitty. And obviously, we know players we've got leaving, like Casemiro. Obviously, his 300 grand a week's going to be coming back in off the books. There's a chance, as we've said before, that Xerxes is going to be going, because he's not getting no football time, and it's hard to see where he's even going to fit in to the side at the moment. He's not going to get into the number 10 positions with Mbeumo, Cunha, Bruno, and so forth. We've got other players that can play there. So I think it's a foregone conclusion that Xerxes will be leaving as well in the summer. And, you got to wish the lad well, because at the end of the day, I think he's 24, 25. He wants to play football. So if he goes, I'd wish him all the best. and hoping he can go somewhere where he can prove himself more than he's had the chance to do at Manchester United. There's also talk about Mason Mount, that there's a possibility he might go, but as we've said again before, it's going to be an hard deal to do to try and get rid of Mason Mount. I believe there's a couple of clubs that people are saying might be interested in him. I think one of them's Villa, but obviously his wages of £250,000 a week, I can't see who he's going to be able to take on his wages. So unless he's prepared to renegotiate his wages and whatnot, I think he might be stuck with us for at least another 12 months, because I think he's got another two years left on his contract with an option to extend. So it may well be that we might have to put him out on loan next season. We'll just have to see how that goes. And then obviously there's talk of Ugarte probably going, because again, same as Xerxes, he's not getting no game time. I don't think he's on massive money. I think he's probably on about 70, 80,000 a week. But again, that's money that can come back into the kitty. But again, it depends on who we sign, because if we sign somebody and we're paying them 160, then we've doubled what we were paying for Ugarte. But that's going to happen anyway if you bring in the likes of Elliot Anderson and Adam Walton. They're going to be round about the 160 to 180,000 pound a week if we can get them. Baleba, again, there's talk of his transfer fee dropped. I heard it mentioned the other day that it could be as low as 60 to 65 because of his drop off in form. So I think he's only on low wages, about 50,000 a week. So even if we do bring Baleba in, I think he's only probably going to be offered around about the 140, 150 maybe a week initially. So, there's room there to make good savings on wages of players that's going out and against players that's coming in. So, yeah, but as I say, today, really good 3 points for Manchester United. Hopefully now we can push on from here and just cement that third position. And, as I said, let's try for second. We've got nothing to lose. But that's all down to the players and Michael Carrick. I'd just like to thank everybody for the videos that they watch of mine. We are trying to build a decent community. So please smash a like. It's very important to smash a like, and also get in the comments, share the video, and also hit the subscribe button. Now, through the month of April, I haven't actually set the date yet, but I'll inform you on the next video. I have some Devils in Red 59 t-shirts that I'm going to be giving away, and I've got some Devils in Red baseball caps that I'm going to be giving away. So obviously it'll probably be something like a quiz, and the first so many correct answers that will come in will either get a baseball cap or they'll get a t-shirt. So that's just something, a little thank you from Devils in Red 59 to people that have, constantly watching my videos. But as I say, please smash a like. It's very important for me to build my numbers up. And obviously, thank you very much. And I'll let you know about the t-shirts and the baseball cap or the baseball caps on the next video. So make sure you watch that, and you'll know when they're going to be up and available. So thanks very much. Smash a like, share the video, and don't forget, press the subscribe button. Thank you very much.